Ever been listening to your favorite podcast and think, hey, I want to start my own? Then you need Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First, everyone's favorite word free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Despite her unsavory upbringing, Loriana Simms vows not to let the fast, gritty lifestyle of the hood dismantle her innocence. With dreams of leaving what she calls home behind, Loriana's plans are abruptly placed on hold. While her circumstances have, in some measure, matured the bashful teen, they have also left her in an immense amount of distress. No longer meek to the world around her, Loriana comes into her own as a woman and finds herself caught up in the likes of the young hoodlum project. With a known reputation in the hood for his insolent way with words, outlandish behavior, cold pen game, and disgustingly handsome good looks, Bryshon Projex Emery snatches Loriana's unprepared heart. Stuck in his grind as a true hustler, Project has hardly had any time on his hands for a companion. Though the moment he crosses paths with Loriana, Project jokingly pledges to change her last name. When one wrong decision ends deadly, Loriana is pressured to choose between the life she once knew and the one her heart belonged to. The hood has caused an extra layer to thicken around their hearts, making it seemingly impossible to peel. Love didn't seem to be in the equation for either of them. Will his addiction to the fast life cause their pretentious relationship and lives to fold before it can bloom? Or will the two take heed and remember where they came from? Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome back to the Bibliophile's Bookcase. I'm your host, Erica the Bibliophile, and I am here to discuss BriAnn Danae's From the Hood with Love, Part 1. Now, this is my first book by the author, and I was really excited because I realized, like, looking over my episodes, I'm like, girl, you are literally doing the same people over and over. It's time to get somebody new, which I'm gonna be jumping back into an author I already read because I have to finish Love series. Like I'm too invested now, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about BriAnn. This is BriAnn's episode, so let's stick on her. But I had posted on my podcast Twitter page how I had the Christmas book, and it was my first book by her that I was gonna be reading, and I was already sold because she has a playlist to go along with the book, and it's like my two loves, reading and listening to music, we lit. But she actually responded to me and said, you actually want to read the first three books before you get into this, you know, and she showed it to me. And I was like, okay, cool, no problem. Went to download it, and I read a book a day. So I have the first three books out of the way, and I still haven't read the Christmas book yet. So it's like, okay, um, no problem. But like I said, I'm already sold with the playlist because I was just like, this is genius. And as I'm listening, she did it perfectly, is what I'm trying to get at. It's like the music matches perfectly with the story that she's telling, which is a good story because I've already made it clear, like I'm close to 30. I don't really listen. I don't really read teenage stories anymore, but I like this one. And this one I will give a pass, and like I really don't have a problem with it. Um because it's well thought out. So BriAnn, if you listen to this episode, great job. It was a real thought out story. I just have a few things that I'm gonna nitpick, but it's just like my personal thing. It's nothing to take serious, I guess. It's just things that I have a pet peeve with, but who am I? So let's start. Lori I want to say it's Loriana or Loriana. I like Loriana better. She's a 17-year-old senior who lives with her mother, Lynette. And Lynette hasn't been feeling too good lately, so Loriana is worried about her. And it's like, as soon as I'm done with school, coming back home, and Miss Lynette is like, girl, you are a senior in high school. You can go out, have fun, find you something to do. And she's like, okay, maybe I can hang out with Akira. And as soon as Miss Lynette hears that name, she's like, oh no, baby, what is you doing? I am not from New Orleans. I don't even know why I just did that. But she's like, I do not like you hanging out with her, but that's her quote unquote best friend. So of course she's not listening to her mama on that. And Akira is the definition of little girl lost. She is sleeping with any and everybody because they show her some attention and they like her body. And, her mother put her on birth control like a year or two ago. So of course her body blossomed. And she's feeling herself. And she also like shits on Loriana for still looking like a little girl. So basically, like, Loriana has a nice braid of hair that she keeps in a ponytail in the back of her head. Like, I won't say all, but I know I used to. Like, before I cut off my hair stayed in a bun at the top of my head. I just didn't feel like doing it. It was the quick and easiest thing to do. So it's just like, yeah. But when you do your hair like that, you tend to have a baby face. It makes you look younger. So because Akira thinks she's hot shit and like all the boys want her, she wants to look like a grown woman. She done got this fresh sewing in her hair. So, mama is feeling herself. And the first thing that I kind of want to nitpick was on the first page, it says that Loriana is 17. And then when her and Akira had this back and forth, Akira says, we're 18 now, so you need to start looking like you're 18. So I'm just like, okay, is she 17 or is she 18? Because it makes a difference, like, to me anyway, in this story and where it goes. Um, and Loriana also has another best friend whose name is Nari. And I feel like Nari is actually her friend where Akira isn't. And she's just somebody that she hangs out with. Loriana has a crush on this guy named Keith, who, like, he be looking back at her, but Loriana don't say nothing. So it's just like, do you fuck with me or do you not fuck with me? But Keith walks up to her with his friend Cooper, who is feeling Nari, and they convince them to go to the rec so they can watch them play basketball and they can chill. And the rec is just like a hangout spot for teenage kids and for people who want to play basketball, and people can sit and watch them. And so Akira is walking over to them and she bumps into Keith on purpose and says, dang, Keith, watch where you going. Now, as Loriana, I'm already peeping that and I'm looking at you wild crazy because it's like, bitch, what is you doing? And so when she finds out that they're going to the wreck, she tags along because the guy that she's messing with tells her, like, they can't hang out. And Nari busts her out and says, ain't he married? Now, my thing is, the heifer says no, but then she says, how do you know I wanted everyone to know that? So it's like, but you said no, so he's not married, so what's the problem? And, like I said, she just feeling herself. She feel like everybody want to know her business or just all up in her business. It's just like, girl, no. Um, and those two, they cannot stand each other. They tolerate being around each other somewhat because of Loriana, but like every time they're around each other, they're arguing. And Nari sees Akira for the shiesty hoe that she is, but Loriana swears that she's her friend. And it's just like, girl, even with you not being quote unquote hood, because that's the thing, like Loriana is the good girl, but it's just like, okay, you ain't got to be in the streets to know some things. Like, come on now. It's just certain things that you should be able to peep and have common sense. You ain't gotta have street smarts to just have plain on common sense. And anybody could see that Akira she's nobody's friend. She looks out for herself. And Loriana is on her way to the bathroom, but her mom's cell phone that she borrowed because hers is broken, starts to ring, and it's her aunt. And as she's talking to her aunt, she sees Keith coming out of the bathroom. Like she's smiling and planning on walking up behind him and saying something to him. But she sees Akira following him out the bathroom. Now they don't see her because when she sees what's going on, she runs around the corner, and just watch them like and not wanting to believe what happened because she's just like saying to herself, maybe Akira walked into the room. And it's like, girl, no. You know your friend and you know she tried. You know exactly what she did. And immediately I would think, like, I got this. You're my friend. And I say that you're my best friend. So you know that I got a crush on this dude. So you just went after him because I got a crush on him. Like, Loriana, Ma, you're not stupid. Um, and so when he walks back over to his boys, they're patting him on the back, they're grinning. One guy even says, like, I told you her head game was crazy. So it's like, girl, you are the pass around, and everybody knows that you're the pass around. And she really don't care. Cause like I said, she think this is cool. Um so where are we? And then this nigga gonna lie and says he didn't know that that's what she was gonna do. It's like, first of all, she followed you into the bathroom. If she had anything to say to you, she could have said it out in the open instead of following you behind the bathroom. And he says that she says something about Loriana, and he tells her, I don't really think she feeling me like that. So that's when she made a move and got on her knees in that bathroom. And so Loriana, she's getting a ride from, this is like the next day. She's getting a ride from Akira to a tutoring session, and she sees that Keith's name is on Akira's phone, and she turns to her like, why is he calling you? And she's like, dang, you knows. And it's like, yeah, bitch, why is my like, not knowing that Loriana already saw her walking out the bathroom. So it's like, not only did you follow him into the bathroom, but now he's calling your phone. Like, I need answers and I need them right now. Like, what the fuck is going on? Um, and so Akira makes up this lie about him calling for her to braid his little sister's hair. And Loriana doesn't believe that because she doesn't even think he has a little sister or has a sister, period. So she mentions that Keith may ask her to the prom. And Akira catches the attitude like, what? Why? I didn't even know you knew him like, and she's like, it's not for sure, but it's like we've been talking a little bit, so he might ask like, what's the issue? And so Akira is fuming, thinking how she gonna check him later about asking Loriana to the prom. But it's like, you're my best friend. You know I like him. So what did you trifling, trifling, trifling. So Loriana is tutoring Joy, who is also a senior. And like they just have a little conversation. Joy is like really stressed out because she wants to make her mom proud and get good grades, but she's just like not grasping a few subjects. So Loriana goes to the bathroom, and while she's in the bathroom, she can hear someone having sex in the next room. And it's Joy's older brother, Project. And he's a 21-year-old drug dealer who is also a ghostwriter for rappers. And it's like he's not a big time drug dealer, he just do his thing, sell a little yeah, yeah. And but the real money is in the ghostwriting. So he leaves like after he comes out of his room with the girl, which fam, like he's saying some little slick stuff, and Loriana looks over at him, and the girl that he was just having sex with, like, gets down in her face and was like, "What you looking at? Don't be looking at him." And he like, "Man, what is your problem? Why is you talking to her like that?" And she like, "Cause you my nigga." And he like, "Pump your brakes. I'm not your nothing." Cause she's really like a nobody. He started messing with her on some get back shit to a dude who tried to like punk him out. And it's just like, see, that's always been messy to me. Like, niggas really think like that's a feat. Like you really did something. So it's like, instead of fighting that nigga, or you going to see him, you have sex with him. Like, how does that what does that do? But men and their egos, it does a lot. But it's just like in the grand scheme of things, like when you really think about it, what does that mean? Anyway, so when he makes it back home from making moves, his mom, uh, Hasaline, Jocelyn, um, has him take Loriana home. And at first he doesn't want to because he's like, the bus is still running, and she's like, oh, I didn't know you were offering, because when he comes in the house, he's like, are you ready? And she's like, oh, I didn't know you were offering, I could take the bus. And he like, same thing I said. And I know she heard that, and if that was the case, I'd have been like, you know what, thank you, but no thank you, I'll catch the bus. And Miss Jocelyn is like, no, there's no way I would have you out riding the bus this late. He could take you home, like I said, but I really like would have fought that. I'd be like, Miss Jocelyn, thank you so much, but it is obvious that he does not want to take me home, and I'm not for putting anybody out their way. Thank y'all. Have a good night, and I would have walked right out the door because that's one thing I have always hated. Like if I get the inkling that you don't want to do something, I'm out. I'm not forcing nobody to do nothing. I'm not begging nobody to do nothing. And it's like, especially for you to act like it's an inconvenience when, nigga, I didn't ask you. This is your mom trying to make you take me home. I'm cool with taking the bus. So that's exactly where the hell I'll be, on that bus. Like, man, ooh, man. Like, I'm getting hot just thinking about it. And it didn't even happen to me. But it's just like, you don't play with me like that. Um, so while they're driving to her house, they exchange a few words, and he spin a little game to her. He done gave her the nickname L Boogie, and she's like, what type of nickname is that? And he says, it's the one I got for you until you take my last name. And I'm like, not this nigga trying to spit game to this 17-year-old girl. That's why I feel like it kind of matters if she's 17 or 18. But they never really say that she has a birthday. And I feel like, okay, nope, we're gonna get there. I'm jumping way ahead of myself. Then, as she's getting out, he asks for her number, and she gives him her mom's cell phone number because, of course, she doesn't have a phone right now. And he just tells her that she better answer. So when she gets inside, there's a surprise for her from her dad, and it's a brand new iPhone. Now, her dad and her mom, like, they used to be married, but they got a divorce. And he now has a new wife, and they have a son. I forgot how old he was, but and he's never really around too much. Like, she sees him, might go spend like a weekend or something with him because he stays like an hour away or something like that. And it just is what it is. Because Lynette says she ain't begging nobody to, what I just said a few minutes ago, not begging nobody to do nothing. If you gonna do it, you gonna do it. But I'm not begging you to do nothing. So it's sometime later, and she sees a project at the gas station, but she doesn't speak until he approaches her. She's with her cousin. I want to say it's Mayel because it's Mhyale. Um, and she was doing her hair, so they were stopping at the hair store and at the gas station. And so she sees him, but she doesn't speak until he comes across the street because he's buying some juice for some kids at his best friend's aunt's house. Now, the best friend was shot and killed, so they're all over there just kicking it at this point. And she gives him a hug and offers condolences because he has a RIP shirt on, and it's the day of the funeral. So while they're hugging, some girl walks by and speak, and it's like it's always a bitch that has to be seen. Hey, Project, it's like, bitch, you see him with somebody else. Like, why do you feel the need to, like, want to make yourself known? And he gives her like a head nod. And of course, like, when you don't speak to somebody who's trying to be seen, they gonna make a scene. And she says, "Oh, so because you're in front of this little girl, you can't speak now." And he did get disrespectful. He's like, "Bitch, I gave you a head nod. Like, what the fuck do you want? Get on." And her friends that's with her like, see, he too disrespectful for me. And she's like, oh, it's cool. He gonna be calling me later. And as soon as Loriana hears that, she steps back because it's just like, you haven't called me. And he makes a joke about her being jealous and reminds her that even if he did call, it wouldn't have been for her anyway, because when he asked for her number, he said it was because he wanted to check on Joy and make sure the tutoring was working, because it wouldn't make sense to have her continue tutoring his sister and it didn't work. So it's just like, but you wouldn't need my number to check on your sister. You just could ask your sister. Like, is she gonna tell you the truth or she gonna lie? But they ain't got nothing to do with you calling me. So, and of course, in her young brain, it's just like feelings crushed. Like, oh damn, my bad. Let me step back. But of course, like he was joking, and they part ways. So while she's chilling with Nari, one day she gets a call from Project, who tells her to get ready because he's coming to get her so they can hang out. And at first she's like, no, I'm hanging with my friend. And he's like, man, please, whatever. I'm on my way. Drop the Addy. And while they're riding around just talking, like it's cool until Project sees somebody that owes him money. So he jumps out with his gun and takes what the man has on him and gives it to Loriana and tells her, you can take it, do whatever you want to do with it. And I'm just like, my nigga, we at a stop sign. Do you know that there's cameras on the lights? Like, I'm all for you getting your get back, but you couldn't do this somewhere else? And then she asked him, like, what is this, hush money? I promise I ain't gonna say, because, she, like I said, she's supposed to be the good girl, so she don't know nothing about nothing. Um, and she like, I promise I won't say anything. You ain't gotta worry. He's like, man, I know. No, I just take it. You good. And so at school, Akira is bragging about the married guy that she's seeing paying for her things for prom when Keith and his friends walk up. So he speaks to Loriana, but because she know what's up, she's real dry. She good on him. She no longer has a crush on him. She really don't want to talk to him anymore. And she butts into the conversation telling Keith, like, oh, she has a boyfriend now. And Loriana looked up like, no, I don't, but why is that any of his business? And her response is, I'm just saying, he's all love struck by you and you don't even want him, but you do, right? And this is what I'm saying. I'm like, she ain't no punk. So I'm like, Loriana, we would have. I'm sorry, and it's not even fight. It's not fighting over Keith. This ain't got shit to do with Keith. It's the principle. And when she asks her, but you do, right? I mean, yeah, nothing wrong with him. You act like it is. When did I ever act like something was wrong with him? Or is it the fact that you so fucking pressed trying to get something that I like or that I want just to say that you took it from me? Like you telling on yourself and not even knowing you telling on yourself. So at that point, she gets a FaceTime from Project and just walks away from the conversation because it's like, I'm not finna do this showing out shit with either one of y'all. And that's the one thing I did respect too, because it's like either you could show out or I'm like, man, if y'all want to be goofy, y'all gonna be goofy by y'all damn self. And I'm walking off. Like, bitch, I got me an older man. It's like she on Akira level, but she doing it the right way. Akira ain't doing it the right way. It's like you got an older man who's married and you trying to show out and act like you grown, but Loriana got an older man as well, but somebody that's actually into her and they getting to know each other and they working towards something. Like Loriana doing it the right way. So Project shows up to pick her up from school and they go get pedicures together. And the shop that they go to, it's his aunt's shop. Her nickname is Moo. Oh, excuse me. And while they're getting their pedicures, they have a few drinks. He had something, what was it? Lemonade, which is Remy and lemonade. And she took a few sips of his drink and she had a couple glasses of wine. So, she feeling real good. And afterwards, they go to his grandmother's house where, like they're chilling and He eats her out. But right after that, she gets a call from Nari that Akira got her ass beat by the married guy's wife. And the reason why she knows that is because she was there with her mother dropping off something to a friend's house when the fight broke out. So it's like I think they was a couple houses down. And people of course recording, getting it all on Facebook, Instagram, all that. And she's like, my mama wouldn't let me go over there. And her mama said, for what? That ain't your business. If she wanted to sleep with a married man, let her handle the consequences that come with that. And I'm like, I'm with mama. Like, you think you grown until some grown shit happen. And so Project gets a call from his grandfather who wants him to come to a writing camp in LA for 2 months. And he's like, you doing your thing with the writing and trying to get you out the streets. So, and he compares him to his father who stays in jail. And of course, Project is real upset like that. He like, man, don't compare me to that man. Me and that man ain't nothing alike. But he also knows that his grandfather is right. It's like you're not that deep into the streets, but you deep enough where if you get caught, it could fuck you up. So you just need to get out and stick to the music and get all the way legit. So Loriana is at the rec by herself. She had just got off the phone with Project and she's standing in line for some food when Akira and a friend of hers, I forgot, I think it's Binka was the girl's name, and they coming over making small talk with her. And Loriana asks Akira, like, how have you been? I've been trying to reach out to you. Why? It ain't like you care anyway. And then she calls Loriana fake and makes a statement about how their morals being more alike than Loriana thinks. And she's like smirking in her face, and Loriana's like, "You got me fucked up, but okay, cool." Um, so she gets her food, go has a seat, and like she's minding her own business until a few moments later, somebody walks up to her, calling by calling her out by her name, and tells her that she needs to find something safe to do and leave her nigga alone. And at first, like Loriana doesn't even recognize her. Like, who is this? But um, nope, she don't even remember her then. So she just tells her, but I'm thinking to myself, I know who it is while reading, like as the reader, you know who it is. And it's actually the girl that Loriana heard Project having sex with while she was tutoring Joy, who got in her face that time as well. So this time Loriana gives her a chance and tells her that she needs to back up. So a girl is like, or what? So she mushes her, and Loriana throws the first punch because it's like, I'm tired of you hoes thinking you can motherfucking play with me, and you can't. So, she's whooping the girl ass one on one, no problem. It's like, as soon as she starts to get up, because she thinks, like, okay, fight over, I don't whoop her, we good. Her friends, Kelsey's friends, jump in and jump on her. Now, at that point, somebody tells Mael, like, ain't that your cousin? So, of course, Mael runs over and, like, oh, y'all want to jump somebody? Boop, 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 boop. And Project walks in the wreck with his cousin, Cordell, and they're like, man, damn, this shit jumping already. Not knowing that it's his little boo that's in the fight. And Kelsey, oh, nope. He sees Kelsey and sees how bad she got her ass whooped and is wondering who beat her ass until he hears his name and sees Loriana because Kelsey says something about Project. And Kelsey tells Loriana to ask him who house he was over the other night. And then that's when it clicks for Loriana who the girl is. And it's just like, I'm really out here fighting this bitch over a nigga that's not my nigga. And it's just like he walks over and he's trying to check on her, but she tells him, man, I'm done with you. Did you really like go have sex with that girl after you left me that night? And her cousin Mael goes over to Akira and punches her in the face and tells her that she's a grimy hoe for just standing there watching. Because it's like, but you knew what was about to happen and you didn't warn her at all. And I'm just like, I don't think we ever got into how she knew that. And I'm wondering, like, did she set it up herself? But you really stood back and watched her get jumped because Nairi wasn't there to help you while you was fighting. And it's like that was a one-on-one fight. You could have fought that grown woman by yourself. So the fact that you got your ass with one-on-one, how you mad at somebody for not jumping in? You go square up head to head. Either you win the fight or you get your ass whooped and you take your L and either you go practice and come and get your get back, or you just let that shit go and you just got your ass whooped. But the whole point is, she only feeling away because she feels like Loriana was on the Reed's side about not jumping in, so you just let your quote unquote friend get jumped. But I knew when you took her nigga right from under her nose that you wasn't about shit, so it really didn't make no never mind. And not even 2 days later, Project is on her phone, like, okay, you was upset, but now it's over with. Like, we not gonna stop talking to each other. So, what's up? So Loriana, talks to Miss Lynette about it because she's like, yeah, I'm mad, but I still like him, and I don't want to stop talking to him. But like, I'm just upset. And she even tells Miss Lynette that she's ready to get on birth control because she feels like she could take it there with him and she wants to be protected. But her mom, like, she agrees and tells her, okay, call your doctor. You got to set up your own appointment. Excuse me. And she tells her to make him still wear a condom because birth control isn't enough. And you're not just saving yourself from babies, you're saving yourself from disease as well. So, yeah, birth control is cool, but that ain't the only form of protection. So she takes her mom's car to pull up on Project at the studio where he told her to come. And they briefly squashed that he did have sex with Kelsey that night, but hasn't since, and they make it official as a couple. And he takes her back in the studio, shows her what he's writing on, and she even helps out and like switches a few of the lyrics and tells the rapper Laurent that Project is working with, like, it sounds good what you was working on, but you can actually fix it and make it better. So now it's prom night, and Loriana's parents are taking pictures. Greg done came over with his wife, and they just snapping away. And this fool tried to be slick. Talking about, take a picture with all of us together, which would have been Greg the dad, Miss Lynette, and Loriana. And the wife is like, all of who? Nigga, y'all not a family no more. No. And it's just like, chill, sis. You the wife now. Why you acting like that? Because at the end of the day, they are still a family, mom, dad, and daughter. Like, I feel like she know that Greg, like, if he could, he'd get his first family back. So Keith shows up with Akira, who thinks she doing something. Got on the shortest of dress, like everything just hanging out. And it's like, yes, honey, you got the body, but do you really got to do all this? You know what I'm? And I know that sounds wrong because it's like you could wear what you want to wear, but it's some things just are inappropriate, and it just is what it is. And so, of course, Nari and Loriana are annoyed with Cooper, who is now Nari's boyfriend, and it's just like invited them for what though? And what is she doing here? And Keith and Cooper looking at them like, we not doing that tonight. We out to have a good time. Basically trying to make it seem like they're the problem. Like, y'all gonna chill out. It ain't even that serious. It's like, why is she here though? Because if somebody did y'all dirty, would y'all really be sitting up in their face? And ooh, that is the one thing I hate about men. Really, men, because they always try to make it seem like it's women's drama and they just need to let it go. But it's like, if somebody really did you dirty, you really gonna sit in their face, skinning and grinning like y'all riding together? Like, you really gonna be cool with somebody like that? Of course not. So why do y'all want to make women out to be the ones who just have to deal with it? But anyway, they do that. So, Loriana is solo. At least that's what she thinks until she gets to the prom. Project is there to surprise her and is her date for the night. And, he matching her fly. It's all cute. And Loriana and Nari have a pact that they made like a long time ago, that they would not lose their virginity until the night of prom. So they had to make sure that whoever they went to prom with or whoever they felt like giving it to, the night of prom was worth it. And of course, with the way she's feeling Project, it's all worth it. And so in the middle of the night, around 3 a.m., she wakes up to him dressed in all black, telling her that he'll be back. So she goes back to sleep, but not without praying for him first, excuse me. Unfortunately, sometime later, Joy calls her telling her the only thing she says is it's Project, and Loriana doesn't hear the rest of what she said because she's too busy thinking the worst and crying. So after a while later, when she gets home, she finds her mother without a pulse, and she calls 911 to tell them that she thinks her mother is dead. But it's like, honey, if you didn't find a pulse, yeah, she gone. And the story is to be continued. And I was like, this is really good. Like I said, BriAnn, this is well thought out. I really, except for a few errors, excuse me, it was a really good book, and I really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to meet you guys back here next week for part two. Sorry, I've been drinking a little bit. Peace and blessings, my beautiful people.